This is my first time ever doing this, so I wrote my material down, and I'm just going to read it quietly to myself. And when I raise my finger, that means I've come to something funny, so just laugh and I'll be laughing inside. I beat the shit out of a magician in the parking lot here, and he disappeared, but I got his jacket. It still kind of smells like dead doves, but I think it's pretty nice. That's really the best thing that happened to me all week. I got yanked by the cops on my way here. Lights, sirens, everything. This was on Sunday when I wanted to make sure where I would be coming tonight. It was about 10:15 Sunday morning, and I got out about 26 minutes ago. You know, you've got a great high school in this area, Milburn High School. It's legendary, but I have to say that the high school may be great, but your local jail really sucks. I mean, you get in there and like 3 hours later, you realize you've got one really good stabber on your fencing team in the jail here. And then he sobers up 10 hours later and just leaves. And it was right before we had a really important league match against it was against Irvington Correctional. And when we got there, we found out they changed the sport from fencing to touch football. And we found out really fast that no one ever taught the players from Irvington the difference between good touch and bad touch. We forfeited the game right after the kickoff, but it still took an hour and a half for us to get our last guy out from underneath the pile. Anyway, when I saw the police lights, when I heard the siren when I got pulled over, I did what I always do. I'm not like the rest of you. I'm not the usual jamoke like everybody here. I don't pull over. I slam on my brakes, put my car in reverse, and then I look at my rearview mirror fast to see what's going to happen. And he stopped, a good quarter-inch behind me, but the look on his face was it was kind of like cardiac distress. But it took him a little while to get his shit together, and I lost my train of thought, and I started messing around with my radio, because I'm still trying to get music to come out of it instead of sparks, like usual. Suddenly there was a knock at the window, and it scared the hell out of me, and I was thinking, who's coming over so late? So I turned to the door, and I say as calmly as I can, "Who's there? I have a gun!" Or a dog. Or a hunting dog with his own gun. And then I can see a little face looking in the window. But I've got such dark tinting on the windows. I put the tinting on myself. You know, I can't really say that it's traditional window tinting. It's roofing shingles. Because I get sunburns really easily. So I can sort of see a face through the cracks of the shingles. And I hear this really authoritative voice saying, "Roll down the windows, sir." And I just start to laugh hysterically. Because, you know, I'm driving a modern car. When was the last time anybody had to roll down a window? They're electric now. You do it with a button. So, you know, I assumed it was a trick. But then the knocking, I got really insistent. And then I remembered the whole lights and siren thing. So I put the window down, and there's this cop there. And he looks pretty mad. But I don't let that shake me. I stay pretty calm. I center myself and I ask, "Hey, what's your friggin' problem, man?" And he, minutes later, about 10, when he finally reholsters his gun, he says, "Do you know why I stopped you this evening, sir?" Now, this is a tip for everybody here. Never answer that question. I never answer that question. It's for suckers. If you say anything, you'll get a ticket for whatever you say and for the thing that they really pulled you over for. But this is starting to have the feel of a really bad first date. So I know I better put out something. So I say to him, "What? You don't see many 1991 Volvo station wagons with no stoplights, turn signals, back door bumpers, or exhaust systems coming down here?" And he gives the car a slow once over, like it's the first time he's ever seen anything like this on the road. And I mean, come on. It's Swedish, for Christ's sake. They have a whole different design ethic there. I mean, hasn't this guy ever been to IKEA? And he says, "You forgot to mention the missing windshield." And I say, "Yeah. But did you notice I had the wipers on and used the windshield cleaner as you were walking up?" And then he looks me once over and says, "Yeah, maybe you should towel some of that blue shit off your face and chest, because I think it's corrosive." And I think, yeah, now who looks like completely clueless? I say, I don't spend money on luxuries like that for my car. It's mouthwash. I said, you can only buy it in China. It's a special dual product. I got a friend who goes back and forth all the time to his nail salon. It's run by a Chinese guy where he gets it. And he leans down and kind of inhales very deeply, and he hates to admit it, but he says, "Man, you do smell minty fresh." And I'm like, yeah, no kidding, I smell great. But then suddenly he's all business again. He says, "Sir, I need you to do 5 things for me." And right now I'm thinking, no way. I've dated women for years and done exactly 2 things for all of them. I've got my ass up off their couches and I've left their houses. But he seems to think this is a whole different kind of relationship going on. So he just keeps talking. He says, "I want you to stop the sparks from shooting out of your radio. I want you to peel all that goddamn roof shingles off your windows." And he just requested the impossible. I can't wait to hear what else he wants. He says, license, registration, insurance card. And I think, oh great. It'd be easier for me to deal with the shingles and the sparks because I haven't had any of those three things since the first week I got them in high school. But then it hits me that in life, the power of the human mind, mental manipulation, A psychocranial, unarmed incursion into the outdoor of another person's brain can alter the expected path of human events. So I hand the trooper my Bayonne library card, my Ruts Hut 1,000 Ripper memorial certificate, and the receipt for the shingles. But it's immediately clear that this is not one of those supernatural moments. He's looking at the documents I've handed him as if he's seeing the exact documents I've handed him, and nothing beyond that. The trooper says, I know I have to get off, but I can't. I'm bigger than you. I'm not leaving.
I'm not stopping you. Let him roll.
Yeah. I'm rolling.
Page 7.
And he says to me, do you have any idea how fast you are going? I said, so I'm going to throw him a bone here. And I said, 80, 90. I don't think I was doing 100. And he says, I clocked you at 6 miles an hour in the fast lane of Route 78. There was 18 miles of traffic behind you and you wouldn't let anybody pass. It took me 45 minutes to work through that to get to you. I look back through the back hatch, and I'll be the first to admit it, it looked pretty crowded back there. But in my defense, I didn't have a great view. But he steps away from my door, and I think I detect a little melancholy in his voice when he says, "Sir, did you get out of the car?" And I know he must hear that same note of wistful sadness in my voice when I tell him, if these doors worked, I would have been out of this car 15 minutes ago and running from those goddamn woods over there. Thank you.
Tom Hughes, let him hear it.
I'm up here, don't worry. Those of you who are meeting your friends that performed after the show, I'm very sad to report they all passed away. All right, that's the memorial part of the show, actually. All right, no, really, you're